we're going to work on a still life in a complementary color scheme, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do direct complements instead of split complements. So this is what we're going for. I have the drawing right here, and then so I'm going to go for blue and orange. So just analyzing this for a minute. First, we can see that the light is coming in from this direction, so the left side of not everything, but most things are highlighted and lit up a little bit more. There's a shadow from the handle here that goes down there. This side of the cup is a lot darker and it kind of curves a little bit. We have a nice highlight on one brown egg. This is sort of a medium highlight because we have shadow from the cup. It looks like the light is really coming in mostly, I don't know, I guess, I don't know if it's 50% view, but it's coming in from the side. It's not really at much of an angle, although this is coming forward a little bit. This is just a tiny bit. So it looks like the light's coming in from behind, and this is in shadow. We can see the edge of this egg right here, barely, but it's there, and it reads as, eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a larger brush. So I'm using kind of a large round brush, and I'm going to dab it on my paper towel, and I want to do the background. So looking again at the background, it's a little bit darker on the right side, and then it's a little bit lighter over here on the left. Here we have a nice contrast of value between the dark of the cup and the light of the wall or the background of whatever it's on. And then the surface, the table of the surface, while we do have some detail on there, I think I'm just going to keep it smooth just for the sake of time. So we'll start with, we'll do blue. I'm going to do sort of a blue-gray, and I'm going to add some black. This makes kind of a Payne's gray. I'm going to actually lighten that up a bit. Add some more black. And then I really want this paint to glide across the canvas. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit lighter than that. Okay, so this is pretty much where I'm starting. And obviously, it doesn't need to be completely smooth. You don't need to spend too much time making sure that your paint is all mixed, like well blended, because once you start applying it, it's going to blend right on the canvas or paper or whatever it is that you're using. Okay, so now I can see that I do have a lot of paint on there, but I have some white coming off. So all I'm going to do is just dip my brush into the water, and then I'm just going to move this paint around so that one of your goals, of course, is to get rid of the white of the canvas. So if there's enough paint on your canvas itself, you just need to add some water to just get it moving around. Okay, so I have the paint on there, and then if you twist your brush, if you kind of roll your brush like this, it'll help get the paint off your brush and onto the canvas. That's a little darker than I want it to be right there, so I'm going to just grab white by itself and throw some in there, throw some right here. And then you can see that I'm going around these carefully. I'm not worried too much about detail yet, but I do want to get my background in first. So that's kind of a practice that you want to get used to doing. You want background information in first. I'm going to change brushes. So this is a number 6. It used to be a flat brush. It's kind of frayed now, but it's small enough that I can get into my corners. So you want to paint in your background information first, going right up or over the edge, so that you don't have. I don't want you to have to fight like your painting, back and forth. Like you paint one thing in and then you have to go and paint something over it and then you mess up and you have to do it again. You know, like you want to just keep it just as, what the heck am I trying to say? It's hard to paint and work at the same time, by the way. Keep it as simple of a process as possible. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So I am going over some of those lines. I'm not worried about it right now. It's just giving me the general idea, and I'm making sure that the white of the canvas is gone. Okay, and then this area, I'm just going to blend this out a little bit so it's smooth, since we're going for smooth transitions with value. Okay. Back to my larger brush because I want to do the bottom. And I basically want to do the same tone but lighter. So I'm just going to grab, I'm kind of saturating my brush with white I didn't wash it off. I want it to be the same color but lighter. So I'm just adding white by itself and it's blending on the canvas, which I want. Okay, since I have some smaller details, I'm going to go to that smaller brush now. This corner I can do though first. Okay. So I'm dabbing my water onto my paper towel because I have the right amount of water on here right now. I'm just going to grab some more white by itself and move this paint around. And since my brush is a little smaller, I can go into some of my smaller areas. Okay. So there's my background. And then the next thing forward, looking at the image, so you have this mug that's behind the egg, and then this egg is behind that egg. So this is the one that you would want to do last. So this mug should go in first, second would be this egg, third would be this egg. And these are obviously going to be the same tone, but so you want to kind of think about that as you're moving along. I think so. Let me see. Last hour I started painting the mug sort of gray because I couldn't decide on a color, and I just started working on values. I just was implementing those. For this, I don't know, do you guys have a suggestion for orange? I'm doing orange and blue. My background's blue. I know I want to paint the eggs kind of a brown orange. So as far as the mug, do I want it to be blue, or do I want it to be sort of whitish with an orange tint? Or what ideas do you guys have? What shall I do?
Maybe an orange and blue.
Okay, I could do that.
Closest to the eggs would have like the oranges reflection of the eggs, and the left side would have the reflection from the walls, which would be blue.
Okay, I'm good with that. So she's saying that, here, let me show you. We do like an orange, like reflection of orange on this part of the mug that's going to be from like the orange brown egg. And then we have reflected light of blue onto the mug. So are we thinking like the general mug is going to be sort of like white? Okay, that works. All right, so I'm going to go back to my bigger brush. Okay, so I have my mixing plate here. I'm going to go ahead and grab a large dollop of white here, and I think I'll just put it along here. And then I want to grab some black, just a bit, and I'm going to put it right around here. And then white is never just white by itself, so I'm just going to add a little gray. Black and white together makes gray. So I'm just going to kind of get some paint on here. It's a mid-tone gray. Maybe it's on the lighter side. Oops, I just went over my egg. Okay, I need to switch brushes again. Okie dokie. I need to wash that off. Okay. Okay, my brush is pretty clean. It's kind of frayed, but I can probably make it work. I'm going to start adding in values. This does need to be finished. Let me go ahead and paint a line down here. And then here. We'll do the lip. The lip is on the lighter side, so I'm going to go around that with some white. Oops. I keep touching the paint with my hand. Okay. Okay, while I did grab just white, it's coming out a little bit gray, which is nice. I'm trying to get rid of the canvas, just the white of the canvas. Okay. Okay. So now I can focus more on values. So since my paintbrush is still like really light, I'm just going to grab white by itself and start putting in some lighter tones. Okay, and I'm going to put in some darker values. My paint's still kind of wet, so I wonder if it would work if I just did black. That doesn't track. I'm going to do black and a little bit of white. So the inside of the cup is a little darker. And then the right side of the cup is a little darker. And I'm not adding color yet. I'm going to glaze color in just by adding water to, we talked about making this part of the mug orange and this part of the mug blue. So glazing is a technique that you're just adding water and you kind of glaze it over what's already there. So I'll show you that in a bit. This is like a scrubbing technique. It's dry brush. So I don't have much paint on the tip of my brush right now. It's just very minimal. And since my paint is just damp, if I sort of scrub the tip of the bristles over the top of the surface, it's going to have a really soft edge. So this is one of the techniques that you can use in order to make your smooth transitions that we want. And this takes practice. You know, you might not be able to do it the first time that you try it, but you know, given a few practice times, you'll be able to do it. Okay. And then this I want to be more subtle. Okay, I'm not going to go to my detail brush just yet. I'm going to start with the eggs. So like I said before, the mug is number 1, this egg that's behind is number 2, and this egg is number 3. And I want to do like an orange brown, but instead of just making brown, I'm not even going to bother washing my brush, by the way. I'm just going to start with my orange. And since orange and blue make brown, I'm going to just start with a tiny touch of blue. Okay, so it's turning to green. So to combat green, you use the complement, which is red. I'm just going to add some red because I want to knock back that green tone. So there's my brown. It's kind of an orangey brown. Perfect. Okay. So I'll do, what is the shape of this? So I went over the paint a little too much, so I'm going over and fixing it. Bringing that up a little. And I'm not doing detail yet, remember. You don't want to do detail. Detail would be like the shadows, the highlights, that kind of thing. So grab a little water to move that paint around. Nice clean edge. Okay, coming along. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and paint the other egg now too. I'm going to wipe the paint off onto the canvas, and then I'm going to move it down to this bottom part here. Okay, so now we have a mid-tone. So the mid-tone is great to get started with any painting or whatever part of painting that you're doing because it's kind of the base. Now I can kind of start fussing, just like what I did with the mug. I can start fussing with darks and lights. So I'm going to take that same color that I have here, And I'm going to add some black. And I'm going to add some blue from the background that I had before. Okay. And then I'm going to start popping in. And obviously you can change your mind. If you put something on your canvas and you don't like how it looks, just change it. Okay, so I'm dabbing in some color, and then I'm going to dab in some color in here. And I still have quite a bit of paint on my brush. It's kind of clumpy. I don't really want that right now. So I'm going to clean that off. But I'm going to save the paint. So I'm just going to roll my brush on my plate and then wipe my brush a little bit, not too much. And then I'm going to do the dry brush scrub. Sounds like it should be a dance. Okay, my brush, I can feel it. It's drying out. Grabbing a little water. Kind of weird. I'm seeing green instead of blue, so I'm going to have to address that. Okay, so let's go the other. I like going back and forth between warms and cools, warms versus cools, or lights versus darks. So now I'm gonna hit the top with the highlight, and so I'm gonna come back here. This is the first color that I had. I'm gonna keep using this brush. I'm gonna rinse it off a little. Get the water off with the paper towel, dab, and then I'm going to saturate my brush with white, and then I'm going to hit this original color that I had, and just kind of go back and forth until I get a good highlight going. That's that same color that we started with. And again, I'm looking at, I have the reference right here that, you know, I'm referring to all the time. You really want to study that. Okay, so, and then now I have this highlight on my brush. I'm going to add a little to the cup now too. This is I'm scrubbing this. I'm not actually glazing like I said I was going to. But I will still show you glazing, of course. Okay, I'm going to rinse my brush off. Get rid of the water. And then I want to blend in my highlight. Okay, now I'm going to address how it looks kind of green. So I'll go back in with my first original color and restate this. Okay, better. Remember, we have a core shadow, we have reflected light, so I'm starting to build the reflected light in here. The core shadow is in here, and the highlight's here. Your mid-tone color should be right in here. So I'm going to go to the other one and do the same-ish thing, kind of around here. And notice my brush strokes are going in the direction of the egg the majority of that time. Okay. So I think what I want to do is I kind of want to add just straight blue to that highlight. We'll do that. We'll do that. And I'm just touching it where I want it to be. I said highlight, I meant shadow. Okay, and then blend. That way it's a little bit more blue instead of blend, like mix too much that it turns into green because of the yellow and orange in there. Okay. Okay, so let me put the shadow in. This is going to be the same thing where with the egg it's the orange and the blue sort of mixed or layered. I think I'm going to start with the dark blue. So I have, here's my dark blue. This is really dark. This is kind of a blue-green. I'm going to grab a little black. And start building the shadow. Remember, it's darkest to the object where the object touches the surface. So we're going to make sure it's nice and dark in there. Okay, that's probably enough of that color. And then I kind of want to just do gray, actually, for the moment. I'm going to do, oops, I had too much blue on my brush. Okay, so that's a little light. I'm going to grab the color that I just had before and blend that together. There we go. These edges of your shadow should be pretty light, soft edges, not hard edges. So I'm scrubbing along the outer edge of the shadows to make a really soft edge. Edge. I need it to be darker in there. So I gotta wash the white off my brush and then grab some of that. Okay, so now that I've got my shadow built in, now I can take a little bit of the orange color. I'm actually going to rinse my brush again. This is taking longer than I wanted to. And I'm just going to dab in some orange. I still want to show you that glazing technique. I'm going to blend with my finger a little. That just gives you a hint of the the color for unity in color. Okay, so I don't love how this is looking here. I'm going to switch brushes to the small round brush that I have. This is the number 2 round. And so now I'm going to show you the glaze. So I have the color of the ground that I did, like the surface, and so I'm just going to make sure that my brush is really wet this time, and I'm going to just dab it onto my plate and mix it around until I get a soupy, light amount of pigment. It's like more watery than it is thick, so it's super loose. And then I can take this and use this as a glaze. So this is the glazing technique that I was talking about, where I'm just going to glaze over a little bit of color, what's already there. Okay? So that just gives you a hint that there's, so I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see this color right here. So that's the surface, that's this color. We should probably hit this with a little, we could even hit our eggs with a little, ooh, that's kind of pretty. Little reflected light, suggestion of reflected light there. And then lastly, I would go in and start building out all of my, oh, I forgot to put the shadow right there. Oops. Let me put the shadow in right there. This we'll do that. And this, I forgot to put this shadow right here. Okay, now I'm going to grab the color of the ground again and then blend this out a little bit, just so it's a little more subtle. I'm starting to worry a little bit about time, so I think I'm going to try to finish this up rather quickly. So now I want to go in with some darks and lights. I'm going to put in a shadow along here. Shadow. This should be soft. This should be darker. Darker. So now I'm doing quite a bit of glazing. I'm just using like loosened up water, and I'm just using the tip of my brush. So I have a little bit of pigment on my brush. Right now I'm doing some darks. So, and I'm just using what's on here. It's very loose. You can see it's transparent, and that gives me the ability to go in and just really subtly put in some detail. I'm building in negative space so that you can see the lip of the cup. Whoops, it turned there. I didn't mean to do that. And then I'm going to try to just finish this up. I'm going to hit this with just straight white and some highlights on the cup. So let's see. Oops, that's too much on my brush. So I think there's some here. A little bit here. Along here. I still don't love that line. This one right here. Oops. Okay, I'm using a couple of techniques. So I did the wet on dry technique, and then I added a little too much paint when I said whoops, and then I just rinsed my brush, and then I scrubbed off my mistake and blended it out at the same time. So I think that's good. This is a really long video. I'm going to stop. Okay, good luck. Have fun. Play music while you're working. See ya.